Hey, today we're going to be winterizing a 2014 Winnebago Era camper van on a 2013 Sprinter. We're obviously going to need access to all of the different faucets. So the kitchen, the bathroom sink, the shower, the toilet, and don't forget the outside shower as well. Your van probably came with this type of hose. This is a quick connect for the outdoor shower. Some of the other tools that you're going to need: I have a 22mm wrench. This is for the hot water heater. And then I just have a pair of pliers here, and I'm going to be using those on the low point drains. Now, our van did not come with any type of hose for the antifreeze. I'm going to show you the antifreeze port in a moment, but this is just something that I threw together. I got these parts at Menards. I don't know the size of this because at the time I had to find a few different fittings that would fit in there. And then this is a 3/4 inch clear hose. Easily accessible. They were pretty cheap, and they're very handy. So on my last RV, I used a garden hose because the garden hose fitting screwed right into the antifreeze inlet. And on this particular van, it doesn't take a garden hose. It takes a different type of fitting. So we had to make do with what we had. So I've got my tools ready, and my winterization is in the sliding door here. You can see this valve says normal and winterize. We're gonna push it up to winterize. That way, when we get our hose in here and turn the pump on, it's going to be pumping the antifreeze into the system. Okay, and here's our kitchen sink. Just below the kitchen sink, we have this blank plate here that we're going to be removing to get to the hot water heater shutoff valve. Okay, now that we have access under here, on our model, there's only one shutoff valve here. It's not a shutoff valve, it's a bypass valve, I'm sorry. So right now in this position, it's allowing the hot water heater to flow. We want to bypass it, so we're going to turn this up, and that's going to divert the water away from the hot water heater. That way we can safely drain the hot water heater as part of the winterization. We're on the driver's side, and this is the hot water heater area. So two things to note. We have a pressure release valve up here, and then we have an anoid rod down here. The anoid rod is how we're going to be draining it, but we need the pressure relief valve to be opened so that you have some airflow in here. And then also you need this open so when you take the anoid rod out, it doesn't come shooting out super fast. You just want to be a little bit careful on this as you're using the 22mm to loosen this up. Don't get your hand in here. I've cut my hand on these little metal plates in here before, so it's good to have a nice long wrench like this to do the work for you. And then once it's loose enough, you can get in here carefully and unscrew it, and then it's just going to start draining out. One thing to pay attention to every year when you're winterizing is the anoid rod. You want to make sure that you have plenty left on this rod. If it gets down to a thin piece of bare metal, then you need to replace it. Okay, we are back on the passenger side. We have the hot water heater draining right now. And now right here where the sliding door is, we're going to go underneath here. And there's a handle here. This is your fresh water. We're going to just turn this handle and allow the fresh water to start draining out. Before I start running antifreeze through the system, I'm going to go to the outside shower, and I'm going to get the quick release connected here, so when I'm ready to pump antifreeze through here, I already have that in place. The water heater is done draining, so we're going to take our anoid rod and we're going to put some plumber's tape on the threads so that when we get it back in, we won't have any type of leak. Also, make sure to close your pressure relief valve. So we're going to get our 22mm and tighten this guy up slowly but surely. Now we just have to close this bad boy up. get her locked in place. The freshwater tank is still draining, and it will for a little while. So in the meantime, we are going to get this hose connected to the winterization valve. And hand tight is all you need. Do not crank this down or you'll have a hard time getting it out. We're just gonna pop the top off this guy, set our hose in there. Now we're gonna be able to turn the pump on and turn the faucets on and start running the antifreeze through all of the water lines. And before we start pumping, I'm gonna come over back to the driver's side. We're going back and forth. I'm gonna open this up here, and I have 3 valves that are that way we're not diluting our antifreeze with fresh water that's in the system. This is going to drain off a lot of the fresh water in the water lines, and then when we're running antifreeze, it's just going to be straight antifreeze that goes in there. Okay, so it looks like they're already drained. I'm going to close these back up and then we'll go pump some antifreeze. Okay, so at this point, we have the fresh water draining. If it's not drained all the way, we still need to close that valve when we're done. We have the hot water heater in bypass mode. Drain the hot water heater. We've put plumber's tape back on the threads, put the anoid rod back in. We've closed up the valve. We've opened up the faucets inside, the hot and cold in the shower and in the kitchen. And then we've opened the low point drain valves underneath to get some of the fresh water out of there. Now it's time to turn our pumps on and run antifreeze through the hot side and the cold side of every faucet in the van, which we're going to do right now. Okay, our water pump is running. So we're going to turn the cold side on, get that fresh water out. I like it. It's turning pink, so we're going to move it over to the hot side. And we're just going to do this at all of the different faucets. Okay, we're in the bathroom sink now. And then we're going to do the same thing with the shower head. Turn the hot off and run the cold water through the shower head now. And it looks like it's time to replace our gallon jug outside. I can usually do the full winterization with just 2 gallons. So we'll see how much we use this time. The pump is back on. I ran a little bit more antifreeze through the shower, and I'm just gonna come over here and kick that toilet on, and we're just gonna run, I don't know, just a little bit of antifreeze through the toilet. And then we want to make sure with the valve closed, we kick that on just a little bit more to make sure that the toilet fills up with antifreeze just a couple of inches, because you don't want those seals to dry out. We have everything inside done, so the last thing we need to do is turn on the hot and cold for the outdoor shower and just spray each one. And we just ran through our 2nd gallon of antifreeze, but that's great because we are completely done with the antifreeze. Don't forget to drain your outdoor shower hose. I just am holding it up and engaging, and looks like we got it all out. Be sure to turn the water pump off. It was still trying to run right now. I have a little bit of fluid at the bottom of both of these. I'm just going to dump one into the kitchen sink and dump one into the shower pan inside. At this point, we're going to turn the winterization valve back to normal, because now we're going to kind of go through a reverse process and unwinterize it so that when we're ready to use the van again, all we have to do is fill up the freshwater tank and she'll be good to go. As you can see, the water lines under the kitchen sink are pink. That means that they are filled with antifreeze. I'm also now going to be opening up the kitchen sink valves and then reopening the low point valves outside to try to drain as much of this antifreeze out as we can. We don't necessarily want antifreeze hanging out in the lines all the time, although it's not going to hurt anything, but it also doesn't hurt to drain them. The antifreeze is going to be staying in the parts of the plumbing that could get damaged in a really cold freeze. Okay, so we're just gonna open up the valve, and I'm gonna be halfway between the cold and the hot, right about there, so that both the cold and the hot are open. Okay, we're gonna open the driver's side back up here and just get these 3 valves opened up again. And I can see a little bit of water flowing through there, not too much. I'm going to go open up some of the other valves and see if we can get a little more liquid out of here. So I've opened up the cold and hot water in the bathroom as well, and I can hear air flowing right here. I've got the cold and the hot in the sink here, and I'm also just going to briefly turn the pump back on. See if we get anything out of there. And we do not, because the fresh water is empty. So hopefully we will have drained a little bit more liquid. In fact, I can see some antifreeze draining down the driveway right here. So I should be able to close these valves back up. We are dripping some antifreeze here. So we're going to close these valves back up, and that'll complete that portion of it. Next, we're going to the RV dump, and we're going to be dumping the black and gray water tanks. After draining the low water valves on the driver's side of the van, you can see that the water lines under the kitchen sink are now. So all of that antifreeze has drained out. Any remaining residue of antifreeze might be sitting in some of these valves. I've also moved this valve from the winterization position back to the normal position here. That way, when we fill the fresh water up next, we can run water through the whole system without having to move, take this plate off and move that position. Also, make sure that the hot water heater is completely full of water before you turn the water heater on. Otherwise, you will damage the unit. And so all you need to do with fresh water in the tank and the pump on, just run your hot water through any of the faucets. It's going to take about 5 minutes for all the air to drain or to come through the hot water tank through the sink, and then once it's flowing freely, you can then turn the hot water heater on safely. Now we're just going to make sure that all of the valves in the kitchen and the bathroom are closed at this time, so when we do introduce fresh water on our next trip, you're not going to be spraying everywhere. We'll get this shower head back up there as well, and next we're going to the RV park. Okay, so I'm just leaving the RV park. I did dump the gray and black. I don't need to show that to you on video. You know how to do that already. The one thing that I did not do in the video earlier is close the freshwater valve. So after the freshwater tank is done emptying, get it closed up. I've done that. And so now the van is fully winterized and unwinterized because now I can introduce fresh water on my next trip, fill up that hot water heater with water, and we're good to go. All right, take care.